Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? Well, the market's not good. Market's not good at all. Not good. Not good at all. At least from what I can see, from what I can tell. Tonight's question is, what major bank launched a blockchain fund on ETF, mutual fund? Was it Bank of America, Citi, Goldman Sachs, or other? Man. Maybe that was harsh. Oh well. Again, what major bank launched a blockchain fund on Ethereum? Bank of America, Citi, Goldman Sachs, or other? Whew. That's going to be an interesting conversation. Oh man, what would I do without you guys? Yeah, the logo's not up. And there it is. Thank you for that, IAG. Thank you. So, general news. SpaceX is definitely going to go IPO. They're looking to buy shares from internal sources. The valuation is going to be ridiculous. Actually, they're saying it's going to be $1.5 trillion is what they expect the valuation to finally be when they go IPO, which is going to be interesting. Right? I think that'll be at least a little bit interesting. Then you had iRobot. The iRobot conversation is actually interesting to me from a general, investment perspective. And the reason why I find it to be interesting is because Amazon wanted to buy iRobot years ago. And they had stated, well, it shouldn't be a problem for us to buy iRobot given how many manufacturers are out there with competitive products to iRobot. Now, I want you to really put this in perspective. So iRobot had the name, right? iRobot had the name, and they had some of the functionality, but they really had market share because of the name. And then all of these other knockoffs came out, but some of those knockoffs had better features and were cheaper. So that was a thing. The US government said no. You would monopolize the market. And I think it was just because iRobot had such a name that iRobot seemed to be that market. I have an automated vacuum cleaner. It's not an iRobot though. Right? And I chose one that would actually go in a specific pattern and understand what's going on in the room rather than some weird freaking zigzag thing that iRobot used to do. And it hits more spaces, it misses less spaces, all that good stuff. So that's why I bought that one. It was actually tested by a couple of my staff. So that was like a big deal. And now today you're looking at what was once a market leader going for bankruptcy, and it'll be swallowed up by another company. What is it, Pinkess or something like that? P something. I forgot the name of the company. Let me see if I have it in my notes. Because they expect to emerge from bankruptcy, from Chapter 11, under the ownership of this other company. And I don't have it in my quick notes here. I have it in my bigger notes. It's actually in the article that's published on the site, so you can read it there as well. So that was kind of a big deal. Then something else happened. Michael Saylor bought Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's December 14th post, back to more orange dots, reignited speculation about Strategy's Bitcoin purchases despite no confirmed filings. Strategy held 660,624 Bitcoin valued at about $59 billion with an average cost of $74,696. That's their average cost of little bit less than 75,000, right? Just looking at my notes. Bitcoin traded near 89,576, which says that Strategy's holding more value than what their stock is valued still. So in other words, Strategy took a dive because Bitcoin took a dive, but Strategy's dive is worse than Bitcoin's dive year to date. However, their asset is still in the black. And they don't seem to be getting enough credit for that. You know what I mean? Like, you bought something and your average cost is less than $75,000 and it's trading $10,000 above that. Granted, you want more of a profit than what's there, but still, you would think that, hey, I did something. I mean, I get no credit, I get no love, and apparently right now he's not getting any love. Cool. He's just going to keep on marching on. He has this little fund on the side, $1.4 billion sitting on the side. Fine, wah. But at some point, Strategy is a boat anchor. Not quite sure what you mean by that. I think Strategy is not in a bad place. He's got conviction about a particular holding that he has. You know what I mean? IAG, have you invested in yourself? All of you, have you invested in yourself today? Do I really have to ask that? Really? At this time? Really? But think about that. He's got conviction about what he's doing. And if you look at his conviction right now, you have to honestly say, so what did he do wrong? He's made you $10,000 off of everything that is there. The question is, how does the math work out? Right? All the loans that you've taken, everything else that you've taken based off of that asset, does the $10,000 cover what you need and still pull a profit? See what I mean? So there's that, because you pay interest on loans, or maybe he got loans at like dirt cheap, and you know, the 10,000, maybe instead of 10,000, it's 9,000 or 8,000, but he's still in the black. Bitcoin's taking a dive and he's still in the black is my point. And I'm just wondering, is that foretelling of the coming situation? And I'm just sitting here and I'm saying to myself, yeah, I'm good with Strategy. I mean, I can't stand the name of the company. I can't stand the name change. So I keep floating back between Strategy and MicroStrategy, because I when I'm writing an article, I actually have to figure out a way to find Strategy, and I have to do it by capitalization. That's dumb, but whatever. But I think he's doing a good job. I honestly think he's doing a good job, right? He created a cash fund so that people can stop crying about it, stop stressing. They're still going to cry. They're still going to stress. But that kind of conviction, he's got a belief. If I would love to sit with him and just say, what's the math that you see? And try to get in his head about why do you have that conviction? One of his underlings, I think it was the president, I think it might have been the president of the company, came out and said, well, it is a possibility that we could sell some Bitcoin. And I was like, I wonder how long it's going to be before Michael Saylor slaps him in the mouth for even thinking that. D Mac into his house. Thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself. So just thinking about that, I'm just wondering. Like I said, I would love to sit down and have a conversation with Michael Saylor. I have no doubt in what he's doing or anything else like that. I think the stock has been beat way too much. It's clearly oversold. If you have a stock that's trading less than its holdings. So my question becomes, is somebody trying to make it a target? Your stock is less than its holdings. I'm just wondering. Then Zillow shares fell over 9% today after reports revealed Google testing real estate listing integrations into search results. If Google takes real estate listings and puts them in search results, I can tell you now that will immediately become a part of its API. Zillow could go out of business. Would it be anytime soon? Depends on how good that product is. And mind you, that would be the intake of a ton of data that Google would absolutely throw Gemini at. Now run with that idea. I take and I throw AI at this boatload of of retail level real estate. Basically actually no, they do commercial and non-commercial real estate. So you understand, commercial real estate is any property, right? If you're looking at houses, it's any property that's actually commercial real estate is this: any building, any built building or any land out there, right, that has more than one house or more than one house on it. More than a single family is what I mean to say. So if you're just a piece of dirt, commercial real estate. It's commercial real estate. You have a 2-family house, that's commercial real estate. See what I mean? So the only thing that's not commercial real estate is a single family home. Everything else is commercial real estate. All that land you see off the highways, commercial real estate. So almost everything that you look at that's not a single family, it's commercial real estate. No matter what they tell you, the technical behind it is that it's commercial real estate. So Zillow is going to have all of that. Now here's the kicker. You're going to have all of that information at my fingertips to be able to do research on. So for anybody that's in the real estate game, you just change the game. If that happens, you just change the game. It's a matter of what kind of information are you getting, and where are you getting that information? That's the real question. Are you getting it from realtor.com? Or where are you getting that information? I'm dying to know. Is it LexisNexis? Are people just putting it in? That's going to be a massive game changer. Massive game changer. Now, if you're in a real estate business, I want you to sit there and I want you to actually contemplate what that means. What that means to a whole industry in the United States. Because you could wipe out, with that kind of a tool, you could wipe out real estate brokers depending on who's got the listing. Now, remember when I was talking about buying small businesses and things like that? Imagine if they do that with that kind of information. What businesses are for sale? That would be insane. You'd cut out all of those business for sale brokers, all those business brokers. Because what do? You just have a list of people that want to sell, and you're advertising that to people that want to buy. You're a real estate broker. Same thing. Same tools that you just put into a different kind of business. That would be interesting. And I think that would be the next step. This right now is our situation where people in my age bracket, maybe one bracket above, are selling their businesses or looking to sell their businesses and don't know who to sell to. That's when a business broker comes in, just like a real estate broker. If I help you sell your business, you pay me X amount of money. Yeah, And that could disrupt a lot of business. Because imagine if brokers go away. What do I need in New York? What do I need a broker for other than you introduce me to that person? That's it. You haven't done anything else. Don't get me wrong. You're driving around with people. You're showing them houses. It's a lot of work. One of my closest friends in the world, my friend's wife, she is a real estate broker. It's so much work, but you get nothing out of it. You don't get out of it what you think, unless you're really hustling and you have nothing else to do. Nothing. That's insane. You see these really extravagant people out there, and they're buying and selling, expensive condos and co-ops and stuff like that in various cities. But you look around the country and you can see there are places like in Tennessee where they were building these buildings all over the place, and they've gone broke. Look at Miami, tanking. Around the country, real estate is tanking. And then when I look at real estate in this situation, I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, now would be the perfect time to tokenize titles. I think right now would be the perfect time to tokenize titles, real estate titles. right? Because what do you do when you tokenize a real estate title? That whole idea of stealing somebody's house from out from underneath them because somebody stole the title, you're not going to be able to steal the title. I don't understand how somebody can steal. I mean, it's possible. Don't get me wrong. I know it happens, but it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be able to steal somebody's house out from underneath them if they haven't signed anything, because that would mean the title has moved illegally. And as long as I can prove that title's moved illegally, and how can your title move if you're still paying a mortgage? Because that would mean that you don't actually hold the title. The bank holds the title. It's their property. They bought it. And you're paying them back, and then they send you your real title. What you have is a clone. So am I the one that's really being robbed, or is the bank being robbed? And if it's the bank being robbed, just hear me out. I know I've been going for a minute. If the bank is being robbed, then how come the bank allows for all these other things to happen? Who's allowed to file the paperwork? Where is that paperwork from? You ran the titles. How did you get this title? You see how titles get all messed up right there? Somebody creates a fake title, obviously forging your name, doing blah, 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 blah. Because everybody sees the commercials. You got this one guy who used to do this for a living, got caught, came out, and this is how he's making his money. And you're sitting there and you're kind of going, who's allowing that? Who's checking it? Because if you allowed another mortgage to go out on this property, that means you didn't perform proper due diligence. Because you should have, they make you pay for it. They make you pay for a title search. Did you? Did you really? So there are loopholes that I can see that would be filled if certain things were tokenized. I think titles are going to be something that's going to be tokenized. California is already doing with automobiles. I wonder, and I think there was another state. I'd have to look up my notes, but I think there was another state that was doing the same thing. As a matter of fact, I know there was another state that was doing the same thing, but I don't know if they're using Avalanche the way California did, which goes back to, well, how are you tokenizing? Because you have choices, right? You have choices of what tools you can use to tokenize. So I'm just wondering. I'm incredibly curious. Right? Hutana, thank you for letting us know you have not had time to research today, even though you're doing it now. If you're listening for the past 17 minutes, you're doing it now. So that's cool. And that's what we're talking about right now. So I'm looking at, where does crypto fit in? So everybody's like, this is supposed to be the crypto overflow. Why are you talking about all this business stuff? Is because it starts to flow into, where does crypto fit in? An IPO is going to happen. Well, we just heard that you don't really have to go through an IPO to make that money. You might make more money by not going IPO and going the blockchain route, and there's SpaceX. Right? If you want to make money off of your company, SpaceX, and you want to go IPO, you want to make as much money as you possibly can, why would I go the IPO route when I can go this kind of direct to public route via blockchain and probably make more money? Just wondering. Right? And you when you really step back and think about this, we've got two places or two industries that are being affected right now. One of them is going to be IPOs, because you don't have to go IPO to cash out on your business, because that's what an IPO is. So you don't have to do that. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. And how would that work? Do I automatically get fractional shares? Because then I'm not selling to a Goldman Sachs or whoever's bringing me public. I'm not selling my shares to them and then having them make a profit off of what they sell the shares to the public is going to wind up being, right? They're not going to make that money off of that. So you're talking about another huge disruption in a massive market. So all of those companies that go through the whole IPO process, if I no longer have to go IPO, then what do you do? Because there's billions to be made in that. There's billions. I mean, the other facets of that business are, well, you don't go IPO, but you're looking to buy somebody, you're looking to get bought, you're looking to do, an equal, merger of equals. There's still those business dealings. Something else that gets disrupted when you start to think about, I can take my shares and go straight to the public is going to be, well, hold on a second. So I would be able to see if somebody is anonymously racking up shares, wouldn't I? Because you can open up 1,000 wallets that nobody's ever seen before, and all you're doing is racking up these shares. That would mean that you could play that all back and say, oh, somebody's making a move, but you won't know who it is, right? And then the other question is going to be, well, how do you find out at the end of the day? Well, you'd be able to trace those wallets at some point, tie a wallet to a company name or to a person or whatever. Sooner or later, a Zach XBT or somebody else is going to get there. You'll see it. Somebody will make a statement that I have, or this entity has these shares that now we control the company. And so what do you do then? It changes the world. It changes how the world would work. And it's not just how a company goes IPO or the equivalent on blockchain. It's everything that feels that ripple from that one change. All of those companies that make big money off of bringing companies, public, well, they're going to have to replace that income. That's no longer going to be a business model, or it'll be a severely diminished business model. The competition won't just be between, the London Stock Exchange, this, that, the other stock exchange, famously the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. It won't just be that. It'll also be all those exchanges versus direct via blockchain. That's a holy wow moment right there. That's a holy wow moment right there. I agree with you 1,000% about charts. What do you mean about charts? I'm missing something. I purchased a lot of domain names with metaverse in the name. Oh yeah, because that's going to be big. That's another interesting play, actually. Let me just read what Hutanek wrote. When they bring stocks to L1, I don't know why you keep thinking that. Bringing stocks to L1, that is only going to be L1. I don't have to do that with an L1. Chainlink is not an L1. And I can absolutely see people leveraging Chainlink to do tokenization. Absolutely. Kind of makes sense. Oracle, data. I can definitely see how, tokenizing titles would go in that direction. The moving of data is what Chainlink is specialized at. So I don't know that L1 is, I don't think L1, the level of blockchain you are, doesn't matter. L1, L2, doesn't matter. Token, coin, doesn't matter. Not at all. The interesting thing that I was saying about metaverse is that you have some museums that have their museum in the metaverse. You're actually walking around the museum. Imagine real estate being sold that way. There are businesses out there. There are some architectural companies out there that when they're building a house, they have this big wide space and they allow you to put these goggles on and you're literally walking around this large space, right? And the goggles reflect the walls and everything else that you're walking around in. You're actually walking around your house. But when you take the goggles off, it's nothing but a big space. That's it. What if it was the metaverse? What if I could actually put on some tactile gloves and I can actually feel the walls? It starts to get interesting with what you can do and how that can tie from the metaverse directly over to the actual physical structure. So I think that's pretty damn interesting. Mr. Big, I think he is saying L1 is the security. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what he means by that. I don't think L1 is it. You take the goggles off and you see the price. Again, jokes. I don't care about that. The point is that I think that I know that from a technology perspective, you can tokenize on any layer, right? Security, just because you're on an L1 does not mean you're more secure than that L2. You would like to think that, but that's not necessarily true, right? So it doesn't have to be on an L1. And if you bring the conversation to privacy, same thing. No, the point is we'll be able to see their order books on stocks because we can't now. You'd be able to see what they've purchased on the blockchain if they make their wallet visible, like if they tie themselves to that wallet. If I'm a private entity and I buy stock via the blockchain because that's how they chose to go, let's just call it IPO, public IPO like that, you're not going to know anything. You just know what that wallet did. And the truth is that you would only know what that address did. That's all you would know, is what that address did. Not even the whole wallet, just that address. So you have a wallet and then you have an infinite number of private addresses that you can give out to people so that it comes back in, but it's tied to that wallet, right? You can do that and then nobody would know anything. Can we see the order books on NVIDIA? You get reports every quarter and at the end of the year about what their business dealings are because they're a publicly traded company. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a company that instead of going IPO, meaning publicly traded company route, and they go publicly traded company route via blockchain, they don't have to adhere necessarily to the same rules. Still a private company. I'm selling private shares. See what I mean? I'm not IPO'd. I started a company and I need investors. And so I have 1,000 shares, let's say. My mother bought 500 because she loves me and she's supporting me. Great. Mom has 500. I have 250. Other people bought some. See what I mean? Still a private company. I just sold them via the blockchain. And you can see the ownership. I mean, hell, you want to get fancy, you could tie that ownership to an NFT, and now whoever holds that NFT holds the ownership of those shares. You can do a whole bunch of things via the blockchain, and you're fairly anonymous. Except for, what you might have actually spent your money on, depending on what kind of entity you are. And then it comes down to, how does the government track that? Now, the guardrails that will probably be put on is, we need to know who, if you want to do that IPO thing and and this company is in charge of the public version of the IPO, they have to do KYC and AML. know your customer, anti-money laundering, which makes sense, no? So now we know who it is. There are a lot of routes that you can take. There are a lot of routes that you can take. But that's almost like, well, I bought some Bitcoin. There are going to be the same way that there are a lot of ways that can hold you to being honest about what you've purchased, what you haven't purchased. There are a lot of ways that I can become anonymous. I don't have to report that. And truth be told, that's going to be a problem for a lot of governments. It's going to be a problem for a lot of governments. I think that they'll first throw old rules. I think they'll throw IPO rules, KYC, AML at this new public blockchain thing. But the whole public blockchain thing is to be able to say anybody from around the world can buy these shares. Now you start to see what the real problem becomes. How is it denominated? Who's buying? When did they buy? How did they buy? How quickly does it traverse? What blockchain is it on? What can I do? Because once it's on the blockchain, you can maneuver anything, can't you? What are the guardrails they're going to be putting in there? KYC, I wouldn't say is necessarily bull. No, all they have to do is see in and out, and we have to justify that, so it's about control. Not the same. Not the same. Nefarious people like to move money. The hardest thing that nefarious people do is have to move money. Was it last week? I told you about how you had people from China that want to get more than $50,000 a year out of China. Maybe one of their kids is moving to the United States. They want to buy them some real estate so they can have someplace nice to live. Real estate costs you a couple of $1 million because, of course, it's a penthouse and whatever. Great. What do? They go to a broker. Broker's a deal for the cash to actually do everything from a nefarious character. Nefarious character transfers the money. They go buy the real estate. Everything changes hands, and how they get back their money, how they launder their money is they arrange for those goods to come from China over to wherever they are. And now they've got goods because now it's been laundered. So it's more, obviously it's more in depth than that. I'm just giving you the roundabout version of it, but that's how that goes. So there are ways that you can do things, right? And everything's done through various types of companies and things like that. I can hide or not hide. Eventually you're going to get found. The only way that you don't get found is if things come out of public spectacle, right? And then back in someplace else. But those goods that eventually get shipped back to the nefarious person for them to be able to sell or do whatever with, they get shipped to this company, and okay, now everything's great. Money laundered. They don't have to worry about that now. So and you're talking about a ridiculous amount of money. You should go do research on how the mafia used to run money through the Vatican, or how their financial dealings kind of mixed a little bit there. There's a reason why that was in one of the Godfather movies, is because it was a real event. It was a real thing. I think Lucky Luciano was a part of that. So you start to realize, wow, there are so many different things. There are so many different ways that things can happen. So to me, KYC and AML are ways that you got to have some kind of guardrails. It'll keep almost everybody in a box. Everybody else, well, you'll have to track down those nefarious characters. It's simple as that. Funny, my dog owns a laundromat. That's how he does his money. Sort of. You're only going to be able to do that. You're only going to be able to do that for a certain period of time. So right now, the penny is going away. They're not going to make any more pennies. If they have their way, they're not going to make any more pennies. Somebody asked me a question of, well, if they're not going to make any more pennies, how does that force you to go digital? You don't see it? There aren't that many people that deal in cash anymore. It's far less people than you think, right? Hold that in your head. That's number one. Far less people use cash. It's going to make you use less and less cash because I'm going to have to round up or down to the nearest nickel. Whatever pennies are in circulation, that's when they finally make that decision, that's going to be it. And eventually they will wind up at a bank and they will come out of circulation. That's how that works. That's how they handle old bills. So notice how all the big bills have all the security strips and all that good stuff on them. Well, they had to circulate out the old bills, right? It happens over time, but it still happens. So that works for a little bit. You know how many laundromats you have to have that make money? You got to do a lot more than just laundromats. A lot more. And then most laundromats are going digital. Yeah, you go over and you pay with a card. You pay with a card. And if it's digital, it's traceable. You're moving into a world where nefarious characters are going to have to rethink how they do stuff. It's going to be big. Just saying. The points you're making, I think the points that you're making are, hearsay at best. They move hand in hand, but, hearsay at best. I think capitalism right now has shown us its weak points and its strengths. To put enough politicians in place, you don't have to be a part of the mafia or part of a nefarious group to get there, right? I can control that person just because they want money and I have it. You'll do what I say because I have money. Different. You might look at it as the same, but they're owned. Or in some cases, they're owned. This is why so many people up here spend so much money on campaigns. Because they know they're going to pay for the answer that they want. And you go through power brokers. And those power brokers, well, this is what they do. So they're similar at best. But one controls the other. And there are different pockets of nefarious characters that have to get along to actually make things work. Because they all have the same problem. How do we move money? Here's crypto. And everybody likes to blame crypto for how nefarious characters move their money. And the fact is that crypto is about this much of it. About this much compared to fiat around the world. So I don't worry about that. I'm more worried about what businesses, what industries are going to be disrupted. And is there an opportunity for me to do my own research, know my entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately? That's all I'm looking for. I can only control but so much. So I don't waste my time worried about that stuff. I worry about it. I don't worry about it. I study it enough for me to understand how it may or may not affect me. That's it. I don't care about anything else. Is it going to affect me? Is it going to affect mine? If it's not going to affect me and mine, I have to be on that. And I just keep my eyes open to what's going on. That's right. Somebody's always looking and taking notes. That's right. That is absolutely right. Right now, that company is Flock, and they're snatching all your data, all of it. And in a way, they're making LexisNexis look like they don't know what they're doing. There was like a rule or something like that, a law, something like that, where, they can't capture your face. Well, they can tell it's you without having to actually read your face, your clothing, the gait of your walk, the directions that you normally take, things like that. They can tell that it's you. They can tell that it's your car going down the highway because the Flock cameras actually looking at your car, down to stickers, dings, dents, scratches that identify your car. That's right. That's right. So where we can actually look at, know your customer, KYC, anti-money laundering, AML, where we can look at those rules, where they are now, I'm looking at, well, how would you apply that when a company decides to go the alternative route from an IPO? How does that work? Right? Because whatever laws, whatever rules you come up with could affect other aspects of business. Then the other thing I'm looking for is all those companies, all those firms that take companies IPO, are they going to change their business model and help them do both? One is a technology thing, and the other one is just a business thing. It's just a, cash flow thing. That's going to be my interest. So am I going to see blockchain, quote unquote, IPOs happening on this company's rails, that company's rails, so on and so forth, but the fees would have to be significantly less because you don't have to negotiate anything. You just have to bring it to the public. Oh, here's what we have going IPO, blah, 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 and you hype it up. Your fee is going to be way less. It also means that instead of having a whole bunch of people that have to work on this thing, it's just technology. So I don't need all those people. Oh. When I say do your own research, you start with that cursory view, use that scratch the surface view, and then you start digging down into the layers. And you saw literally just dug down into the layers. You watched me do it just now. And I got down to, I'm not going to need all those people. Oh, it's a technology thing. See what I mean? See what I mean? If you're not doing KYC in your business dealings, I would tell that person that I would never consult them, ever. Because you're a mistake that is actually happening, and I don't want my name tied to that. That's like dumb. You should know who you're doing business with. I say that all the time. I've said it in both of my books. You should know who you're doing business with. So it's cute to say that those companies have to do KYC and we don't. Fact is, you do. Because if you don't, you will be the one being burned. At the end of the day, at some point, you will be burned. And we're trying to avoid that, right? Sort of like paying taxes. If I'm making money, I'm paying taxes. I got no issues with that. I'm making money, I'm paying taxes. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. Because I don't want that. I don't want them knocking on my door. I want to do everything as properly as possible and make sure all my I's are dotted and all my T's are crossed. And what needs to be in bold is made in bold. Whatever needs to be italic is italicized. All that. How can a bank? You're asking almost esoteric questions. I'm not going to be involved in that. I'm talking about, I need to know what technologies are going to affect our future. Tokenization of stocks, tokenizations of all of these various things. Everybody talks in general, tokenization is going to be the biggest thing out there. Yes, it is. But what else is it going to affect is the question. What else is it going to affect? This isn't a political statement. It's not one for, questions like that. It's how is it going to affect my bag? Risk, opportunity. What are the risks? Because there will be risks. What are the opportunities? How do I avoid the risks? How do I take advantage of the opportunities? That's what I mean. I don't waste my time on all this other stuff. If other people want to, sure, that's how you do your research. Go on, have fun. I don't waste my time with that. I do not waste my time with that. Because I might have a thought in my head about how it should work. I don't waste my time with that. I'm wasting my time on how it is working. where it's actually flowing. Follow the money, as they say. I want to follow the money. I might not like the people up here, some of the people that are up here, right? But I want to pay attention to what they're doing, because what they're doing might tell me this is where the future is going. And I want to be able to prepare for and take advantage of all of that. No, I'm not saying it doesn't affect us. I'm just saying it doesn't affect me as much as other things. So I'm not going to waste my time on it. I can't control it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll learn from it. I'll learn from it as much as I can, apply that to what I'm doing. But that's a rabbit hole I choose not to go down. Because it's real easy to catch that slippery slope doing that kind of research, and it's in totally the different direction of where you should be going. When you turn around and you do that 180 and go, how did I get here? And you've got to retrace back to find the right route to take. Yeah, I know. That's why I don't do it. That's why I said other people can do that. That's on them. That's how they do their research. Cool. For me, nah. Nope. And if you're not going to learn KYC, I stand by what I said. If you choose not to know who you're doing business with, you are destined to be burned. Period. You know, in Japan, the Yakuza, the way they have a bunch of nefarious characters, they look at it like this. They know they're going to get caught at some point. They know that at some point they're going to get caught out there one way or another. They know that. And it's a conscious choice to do what they do. But they know they're going to get caught at some point. If they're still alive, they know they're going to jail. Cool. I'm not trying to deal with anybody in business that's making decisions like that. So if I can't know who the person is I'm doing business with, I'm good off that. Not even. Charts don't matter, policies don't matter. We are on a reset. It's a race to the bottom on fiat. Some of what you're saying is true there, and some of it is false. Or I disagree with. I'm not going to say it's false. I disagree with. It is what it is. Everybody thinks differently. Race to the bottom on fiat. Is it a race to the bottom? I think the fiat that gets to the bottom the fastest is the one that has the farthest to fall, or the furthest to fall. What fiat is that? And here's the kicker. The fiat, the renminbi, yuan, whatever you want to call it, that economy is not doing so great either. It's just better than. It's better than a couple other fiat, but it's not doing all that great either. And so you wonder, well, how far do they have to fall? The only reason why they don't want to deal with the United States and the US dollar is because of the kind of stuff that we do. That race to the bottom, I'm not even worried about the race to the bottom, actually. I'm not even worried about the race to the bottom. So many people are just worried about the race to the bottom. I'm not worried about the race to the bottom. Historically, that's what happens. That's absolutely what happens. I'm worried about how I can make money off of that, how I can increase my value based on that race to the bottom. That's what I'm looking for. And it's not impossible. I said it before, I'll say it again. 2026 is going to be a tumultuous year. That doesn't mean that you can't make money. It's just that you're not going to be able to be weak of heart. Get your stomach in order, because it's going to hurt in some cases. But if you actually do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately, you can find opportunities. What's going on, Heat Score? Did you invest in yourself today? That's what you can start to look at. Because right now I'm looking at things and I'm just saying, yeah, we might be able to get there. Might be able to get there. I frankly think that there are ways that we can make money. You just have to have your eyes wide open. You're going to have to invest. Know when to put in, know when to put out, know when to chill. Thank you for answering. Things have never been the same since 2001. Sort of. Things have never been the same since we got off the dollar. Off of gold. That's when your bubble started to form. As soon as we got off of gold, that's when the print machine got turned on. That's literally when the print machine got turned on. It really is it. See, hang tight and chill, hold tight and chill. I don't know. I pulled out a lot over the year. I pulled out a lot. I still have a lot in, but I pulled out a lot. And the reason why I pulled out a lot is because you could see that not everything is going to stay here. You went like this. Eventually, you're going to go like this. How far we've gone? Well, where are we at? Almost $40,000 down? Yeah, we're $40,000 down right now. Right now, Bitcoin's at 85,901. All-time high is 126.4 or something like that. 126,198 is the actual number. Think about that. Hutanik, you're absolutely right. You cannot say that we didn't see it coming. This is going to be painful for a lot of people to hear. A lot of people didn't see it coming. People in the know, have a good night, Mr. Big. People in the know could see it coming. They knew it was coming. They made it come. They made it happen. Right? The math worked out that way. A lot of people knew that when we came off of gold and that print machine got turned on, you could just see it coming. Oh, we'll just turn on the print machine for a little bit. We'll just turn it on for a little bit. We'll just turn it on for a little bit. It became a drug to the government, and they couldn't stop. And they still can't stop. We've turned on tariffs. Who do tariffs hurt? They only hurt your country. But you turned on tariffs. And what did it do? Oh, it hurt our country. And we're giving money to a country that's taking our soybean business. Let that go for itself. Let that go for itself. We need to pay better attention to what's going on, and more people need to be educated in how value moves. That's why I say most people did not see it coming. Very few saw it coming. Very few saw it coming. And Ray Dalio was right. It bubble within a bubble within a bubble. And now it's one massive 38, 39, whatever trillion you want to put on it. It's that massive of a bubble right now. And the funny part is the whole world is affected by that bubble. Because they all have a bubble. We just happen to have the largest bubble. So maybe if the air gets let out of it, we'll go down a little bit easier. But think about it like this. If AI is a bubble within a bubble, the air stays within that outer bubble, doesn't it? So even though the air is going out of this one nice and slowly, it'll be a nice little correction. Sooner or later, it'll heal itself and close up and okay. But it's a bubble right now. That's who took the hit on the stock markets today. All the infrastructure companies took a hit because they're asking the question, what do I need it for? And then you have other macroeconomic things like Ford taking a $19.5 billion hit so they can pivot away from EVs because the demand just isn't there. Because people just don't see what the inevitable is going to be. And right now you have companies like Toyota and other companies that are actually charging you for every piece of equipment inside your car. You just spent all this money on your car, but you don't actually own it. They can still turn things off in your car. Tesla did it. They literally turned off the car. They bricked a car while the guy was driving on the highway because he put the car in a music video. It's his car. Why couldn't he put it on the music video? How does that even stand up in court? He paid for the car. What are you talking about? Nobody can understand that. I still don't understand that. I'd sue. But that means they can dig into your car and do whatever they want. Oh, you want your signals to actually work? Oh, you want power steering too? Oh, you want your dome light to turn on when you open the door? Yeah, this is where they're going with it. They want you to spend money up front and then pay a monthly fee for everything else. Have you lost your mind? That's why everything is going away from analog. That's why everything is so electronic right now. Because they can control those things. Being able to drive back to the dealership or wherever because you didn't pay your bill, that's a thing. Now, what happens if somebody makes a mistake? I paid my bill. It says it right here. And you took my car. You stole my car. I don't bring this up to change the subject to something else. I bring this up to say that there are going to be a lot of industries that are going to be affected by all of these massive disruptions. And they haven't given thought to how to police those things, how to put guardrails on those things. Oof. Oof. Now you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Let's get to the last question, which is, what major bank launched a blockchain fund on Ethereum? Bank of America, Citi, Goldman Sachs, or other? It wasn't Citi. It wasn't Bank of America. It wasn't Goldman Sachs. It was JP Morgan. And they launched Money. I believe it's MONY. Wow. Wow. Now you understand why I think everything is moving toward blockchain tech. And the rules around things like KYC, like AML, like IPO, all of those things are changing. That was a funny movie. Those things are changing. And so what do we have to do? We have to practice the GMB3. Do your own research. Know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. That means you have to make this investment first. Hutanik had a great point. We couldn't say that we didn't see it coming, but a great number of people never saw it coming. Why is that? Because they chose to be illiterate when it comes to understanding value. You need to be educated on what value is and how it moves. And the reason why I say the word value is because it's not just money that we're talking about. Now you know why I'm so big on doing your own research, knowing your entries and exits, and absolutely investing deliberately, because at some point you're going to realize if you're not investing, you're losing. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. We will work for that every day. Everybody have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. on the Crypto Daily. I got to change the name of these shows because business is so intertwined now. that I don't know that we can just look at crypto, that we can just look at business. I think things are so intertwined that we're just going to say, here's your investment daily or something. I'll come up with a name. I'll come up with something. Maybe it's the Investor Daily and the Investor Overflow. I don't know. We'll see. But everything that we're talking about right now touches each other. It all touches each other. And you're right. Everything is probably going to be tokenized. Anyway, everybody, have a great night. See you tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys too. Bye-bye.